Okay, so we are going to continue the development of OpenArthurianX6. Um, the last time, what we were doing is implementing the triggers in combat by number of turns. We are looking forward to finish this so that we can complete the milestone 1, which is already behind in the schedule. So I will have to look back and see how that was done. I remember that in the NPC types, no, in the NPCs, we had a definition here for asteroid where we did have a list of triggers that we can define for each NPC, and these triggers can have different types. So this one was checking after one turn of combat, and something would happen. So we created a sample thing or a sample action that could trigger that just output something into the console. So we are going to do some changes here in order to make testing easier. We are going to kill all these soldiers, rats, and let's also kill Shanino. All these soldiers, bye bye. And we are going to just add Asteroid here. So Asteroid is this NPC. And let's go and see how that works. I'm going to build the engine again. And if it works fine, then we are going to see here only Asteroid should show up. So I think I'm also going to go ahead and edit this so we can put the markers on the things that are really done. And by the way, I'm sorry about the quality of the sound. I got a new microphone and it works fine, I guess, but my MacBook, this seems to be a lot for it, so the fan is like crazy. And I mean, I don't have anything open, I just have OBS, I guess. It's kind of killing it, so I will have to get a new computer, I guess, if I don't want all that background noise. Alright, so finished building. So we are going to refresh this viewport. And there you have it, it's just Asteroid. And if we see the console here, we do see here that something was triggered. I'm not very happy with it not happening when I was in combat, because that was the idea. So we are going to have to check that. Check how they are implemented and see if something wrong is happening there. The other thing that is not good is that it kind of got stuck. But I can see that I'm canceling the turns, but I cannot move around. Oh, that's weird. Right now, the NPC cannot see me, so it's walking around. But the system is counting that as a combat turn. So I think we will have to fix that. So let's see where this is taking place. On combat turn. So I think at this this function is not being called correctly. On combat turn, it says that this is inside the mob class, so if the sub intent is combat, the sub intent is like a, so in the AI that we created for these mobs, there's a general intent, but it may change for this particular action. So this is the code that is called whenever a mob wants to act. And well, it has some first checks, but if it's time to act, it's going to, the intent that the mob has is going to be like the first criteria, but it may change based on what the mob can do at that particular turn. So first off, it seems that the intent of this NPC is combat, or is being set to combat. It's probably combat. I don't think it's an intent. I think it can only be like a sub intent. Well, I'm not sure about that. But it seems that if the mob is set to seek the player and it can see it, and it's a hostile mob, then it will be set to combat. And when a mob has a combat sub intent, then it does a combat action, which basically means trying to get close to the target and then attack it or bump towards it. But the problem here is that we only want this trigger to be called when it's, when you're actually in combat, because we did not manage to go in combat mode here. We were just walking around. So I think the easier way to do that is just checking the current state of the game state machine here. And I can just do that, but I'm wondering also if it's correct to call this a combat action. I want to first have a clear idea of the intents that happened here. So you can see that the NPC had a seek player intent. So this is how it was created. And I guess that it was set to combat because it saw me, and it's an hostile mob, but that doesn't mean that we're in combat mode, right? So I think this is done so that, for example, if the mob has a range attack capability, then it's going to do a range attack, and that may count as a real combat action. But yeah, so let's do that. Let's check this function on combat turn, and here we're going to check if we are in combat mode. So if the player state machine is in combat, if it's not in combat, then we are not going to call the trigger. We are just going to return. Right. Let's go back and rebuild. And actually, let's do the watch thing. Since we are not changing the map, we should be fine with the gulp watch. Yeah, because else it's going to take a lot. In the meantime, let's see how the trigger actions are done. So here in the mob class, we can see how they are executed. For each action, it just switches and works based on the type Well, let's see first here if it worked. So there hasn't been any combat yet. So I'm going to throw an axe to him. Okay. Now we are in combat. So I'm going to walk, and you can see that the trigger happened, and there's a bug there because of the way. I mean, I wanted to throw the axe to him, but then we got into combat mode. That should have been cancelled. It wasn't. I killed him. That was a bit buggy. But the trigger worked. That's what we needed. We're going to record that bug in the board. And we are going to just add a different type here. So the idea is that targeting doesn't get cancelled correctly when combat starts. So basically, if I'm targeting a ranged attack and I get attacked by an enemy, then the crosshair cursor remains and I can confirm the action and screw up the combat timing. Okay. So yeah, we want to show a cutscene. So we are going to need to know how these are implemented, and I forgot how they are implemented. So let's try to remember. Here on the scenario that we have an information about the scenario, and we have the scenes here. You are standing in a clearing surrounded by dark and forbidden forests, whatever. So we are going to add a different scene, and we are going to name it Go to YOLO. And I'm probably going to add some better test here somewhat time in the future, but that will work for now. Let's just check the blog and see what the plot line says. So where's the plot line? After 2 turns, champion is shot by a magic bolt. Oh, here. Okay. I'm just going to put some placeholder text here. Alright, that's the cutscene, and we're going to trigger it here some way. So how are they triggered? This should be like a special kind of cutscene that is triggered based on the starting state. So we're going to check the starting state that scene. So yeah, there's a method here for the UI. We're going to use that. The UI is an object that we need to require. We probably already have it here. So what we do here is UI.showScene a.value, and we are going to configure the trigger on this file. We are going to add a new trigger with a showScene type. Go to Iola's value. Right. Let's confirm that we have access to this here. It seems like we can also access it like statically using this, so we're going to do that. And that should do it. Let's go ahead and try it out. But let's use the watch thing so that these builds are quicker. Creating bundle. The bad things here is that it's currently not letting us know when the bundle is finished creating, so we have to take a chance and try to and hope that it's done already. In this case, for example, it's not yet done. Not yet. Which reminds me why I don't really use it a lot. I think we are not going to use it until we have that indication, and probably also an auto refresh using browser sync or something like that. Okay, it finally did it. So let's go into combat and see if the trigger is done. This is a different kind of trigger. Let's go into combat and let's attack this guy. Well, I killed him, so I did not give him a chance for the trigger to happen. Sorry about that. Let's retry. I'm just going to let him hit me. Well, that didn't work. It triggered the first thing, but not the other one. Oh well, I used the wrong. First off, I did not save here, and second, I did use a different thing. So whatever. We're going to refresh, save all. Let's see. It notifies when it's creating the bundle, but not when it's done with it. G. G. Something happened there. Well, at least it tried to show the cutscene. And it's just showing a G. So if we see this. Okay, right. Well, a couple things happened there that we still gotta fix. in the player state machine. So if a cutscene happens while we are in combat, it doesn't seem to be ready for that, and I wonder what we should do. Because do we want to stop combat? That's a good question. But let's first fix the displaying of the cutscene. So basically what happened there is that I am asking the UI to show a scene with that name, but that's not how this method is used. It seems I do need to send the whole scene that I must get from the scenario info. And the scenario info, I don't think it's so readily available, or is it? Maybe it is. But I think the UI object should be able to work that out. So I can just send the scene ID. So the scenario info is here. It's at the same level as the UI, and we're going to obtain it from here. Let's see where else we're using it. 1, 2, 3 parts. Okay. Okay. So that should fix the displaying of the cutscene. But I'm still wondering what we should do about the combat. That will be tricky. Because in combat, well, there's a queue of actors that are doing the combat stuff. But if it is a player actor or a party member, then it's going to delegate to the UI. If it's not, then it's going to do the AI check. But how can we tell them that there's a cutscene in process? Shamino is shot by a magic bolt and taken off combat. Okay, so the cutscene unfolded, but we still got this. And the reason we got this I will have to check, because yeah, basically it made the game hang. So what we have here is we are exceeding the call stack size because we are just calling act next again and again, and it's not advancing. I mean, the queue is not advancing at all. So when we are in combat, this is the class that keeps the track of which will act next, and it seems that we needed to know that we are displaying a cutscene. But the problem is, how do we pause the combat to show the cutscene? I think the best way to do this would be to abandon combat mode and go back into exploration mode while the cutscene is up there, That should probably be the easiest way to handle this. So whenever we are showing a scene, we are going to go to exploration mode. But how do we transition there is something I forgot. So we do have a switch state method. Let's see where we are using it. So we do have this kind of stuff, and this is what we do need. We need to switch to the world state. Let's do that. Just here in the mob class, which is where we are doing the trigger. So we're going to switch to this state, and then we're going to show the scene. We also want them to be, want all the players to be paused. So it's weird. I mean, this state, this when a dialogue is being displayed, it's not the dialogue. Oh, sorry, when a cutscene is being displayed, it is not the dialogue state. Oh, so it's the message box state. So that's interesting because we are really switching to a different state. So switching to the exploration state won't be very useful. We do need a better way to handle this, and I will have to think about it, see what's the best way for that. Let's first roll this back. This won't work. We need that in the level. If we are so we're it's being stuck here. Because we are, I don't know why. So we are going to have to debug. Let's do this. Let's put this here, this debug marker here, and let's try again and see what we find out. So we still haven't got the cutscene dialogue. So the actor is going to act, and we are going to see the cutscene when he does. So let's skip to that, and let's move. Here he gets the second turn. This is the avatar's turn, I think. The cutscene still hasn't unfolded, and I think it won't unfold until this is resolved, because I am already seeing the stack grow here. So what is happening here is that I'm getting the next actor on the queue, and that next actor is an enemy, well, the only enemy that we have here, Azeroth. Yeah. So we are getting it again and again. But when we ask him to act, well, we are not even managing to ask him to act, because it's getting stuck in this loop. So we do have an actor, and it's not dead, but we are not in combat, so we are not letting him act, because supposedly this control of the action flow should only happen in combat. So this is like a safety measure here, and we call for the next actor to act. That doesn't look very good, but I still know what we should do about it. If we just make actors do nothing, then we will still get the next actor in the queue, and it will not be very controlled. I think the best way to solve this would be to pause in the combat somewhere, some way, transition back to exploration mode, and that's a bit more complex than just setting the mode of the player state machine as we are doing, because we do need to tell all the actors to start acting on their own. So yeah, this is going to require a little bit more research. I think I'm going to cut it here. I'm going to push this partial advancement, because at least we fixed some of the behavior on the triggers. So let's see what we can commit here. We added this new type of trigger. Why did we do this? I forgot. Alright, we fixed the combat turn condition so that it only took only went into effect for the combat mode. So that's going in. We also we did quite a bit of stuff in this short time. So let's recap. Let's see. Fix combat turn, trigger type. Oh well, this to only work while in combat. Add cutscene type of action, trigger action. I'm not going to detail that we changed or refactor chosen to take a scene ID instead of a full scene object. So I think that will be it. Let's commit now. I'm going to push this to the development repository and also to the backers repository at GitLab. And I think that will be it for today. I will continue working on this next week. I think next week we're going to really push forward with this so that we have the first really milestone done. So I'm not sure if we're going to be streaming so much, but definitely we're going to be posting advancements of our work. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.